Welcome to another Demarcation Media lighting kit review. Today we have another set from Funwhole. I know, shut up, we moved past the name. We actually have two sets. There is the new Neon City Cyberpunk apartment and the Neon City Police Cruiser. They are separate sets, but we're going to be looking at them together because they were kind of made to pair together. And I felt like, it made sense to have them both in the same video. This was sent to me by Funwhole, so a huge thank you to them. All opinions expressed in this video are my own. You can't buy good reviews here. So this set, the apartment itself, is massive. It comes in at 2,500 pieces, so it is a pretty hefty build. The police cruiser is far less than that, but it's very impressive, and we'll talk more about that later. But yeah, the build process overall was very fun. It was one that you're definitely going to want to sit down and take a while to do. There's a lot of really interesting build techniques involved. It kind of really comes together. It comes together layer by layer. And I was just kind of waiting to see what was next, because being cyberpunk, there's a very strange architecture style. So half the time I didn't even know what I was building until I added it to the apartment itself. So that was really cool. Highly recommend the Funwhole sets if you're looking for a good build. Their parts quality is really up there, and half the time I can't even tell the difference between Funwhole's parts and Lego's parts. Before we get a closer look at the sets themselves, I wanted to give you a look at the extras. The extras for the police car are much more reasonable, I feel. You get a bunch of little pieces, which is usual, and then you also get some extra printed pieces. These are so you can have either scratched or not scratched rear hubcaps and glitchy or not glitchy little blockade signs. So that's pretty cool. You also get a plug-in wire in case you don't want to use the batteries, and you get a screwdriver to get into the battery unit. The apartment itself comes with way more. You get the same screwdriver and wire. Then you also get the main plug-in wire. And then there's a bunch of pieces here, including this. This doesn't feel like an extra. I don't know if I did something wrong somewhere. I double checked and triple checked, but I could not figure out where it would have gone. So who knows? Basically, my point is pay attention while you're building, because otherwise you will be confused. But yeah, there's a bunch of extra pieces like these specialized for the wires stuff, and I just don't know if they really meant them to be extras or not. Oh, right. These sets have figures. Dang it, I have to talk about these again. Okay, so now comes time for my customary rant about how awful these figures are. Funwhole has included a bunch of figures, oh joy, for the apartment, but I didn't even bother taking them out of the bag. I really feel like the designers, the people that do the graphics for their torso prints and whatnot, are really being wasted, because they are doing a good job. This guy looks like he's something out of Ultra Agents. This guy's some weird hacker dude with Bob Ross haircut. But the figure style is just bad. It's just really bad. They're really weirdly proportioned. Half the time they can't even use the stuff found around the builds, like the chairs and whatnot, because there's no way to stick them down. They're just round. They barely want to stand up. It's really hard to pose them walking. Like a Lego minifigure you can pose walking, but these guys have round feet, so there's no corners to balance on. It's not good. Also, here's my main complaint. They look bad, right? And so for adult collectors or people who like the aesthetic, it's pretty much useless. But then for children, it's even worse, because these arms, look at this. I squeezed this very lightly and it just broke off. I was building it and I was putting him together and it just snapped. Like, it's not fully off, but look at that. It's so thin. I would not give this to a child because I would be worried about them choking on it. So I've been saying this, I feel like, especially with how well developed their builds are, something using a system similar to Mega's, I think, would be fantastic here, because, I mean, look at that. You can get human figures, you can get armored figures for like the police people. It would work out really, really well, and I think would increase the collectability and desirability of these sets significantly. All right, so let's talk about this police cruiser first. It is a very beefy car. In fact, it is pretty much exactly in scale with the newer Lego Speed Champions, which that in of itself is awesome. That means you can easily slap this in with your Speed Champions cars, and that is totally cool. Like, no problems there. The build process, like I said, very clever. There's a lot of very clever techniques because this is wired up for lights. We'll talk about the lights later, but what I want to talk about right now is the fact that this whole thing is wired up for lights, but you don't have to plug it in. There is a battery pack back here, and you put the batteries in there, and then the whole thing is going to be able to light up without the need for plug-in stuff. I've seen other light kits made for little cars, especially Lego Speed Champions, and you always have to plug them in, which means you can't pick it up and carry it around. That's really frustrating. Funwhole got around that. It's wired all the way through, which is awesome. I will say the wires keep the windshield from going down all the way. That's a little frustrating. It's just, there's just enough pressure coming from those to keep it going. It's a little annoying. Overall, it's honestly very slick. It's very powerful looking, very cool. And then you also get 2 little holographic road blockers with it. These, like I was saying earlier, it's got the glitchy side if you want, and the clean side. So it's a pretty cool little build. I'm going to have to double check the price, and we'll talk about the price later, but I don't think I'm very satisfied with the price. But we'll talk about that later. Design-wise, though, absolutely fantastic. You can open up the top like that. It is attached by the wires, and there are some studs up the front to fit your figure in. You could also fit Lego minifigures in there. I did try a Mega figure, and he just barely can't fit properly. Like, he can sit in there, but his head is a little too tall, which is kind of unfortunate, because I would have loved to put some NMPD figures in here, because, I mean, it's scaled right. It looks right next to Mega figures. All right, now we need to talk about the apartment itself. So when they told me they were going to be doing a Cyberpunk line, this was not what I initially pictured. This is very brightly colored. This is a very different type of Cyberpunk than I was expecting, but I think it's really, really interesting. Very interesting design work across the whole thing, very clever building techniques, and the whole thing feels very fleshed out. So what I want to do is I kind of want to go through level by level and just kind of examine everything there is to see on each level. And then once we're done that, we're going to go and look at it lit up. This first level is taken up by a little food stand, a motorcycle shop, and a vending machine. There's plenty of details scattered throughout. We have a little dumpster. There's a little sign that says throw away stuff here. Print on the side here. We've got prints down on the ground. There's printed newspapers. Funwhole is not shy about using prints, and they do not use stickers anymore. There is a contact point over here, which is interesting. I'm not sure why it's there. But around this side, more print, a lot of it. We've got a sign up here that kind of moves. This is one of my main complaints. All of these signs do not hold well in their little slot. So they're just clamped. And so if you bump it, it starts to fall off. The larger ones are like that. The larger ones are a little better because there's a little bit more of contact points. But yeah, that's just frustrating to me, and I really don't like that. I think that they would have had a better time if they had figured out some other way to clamp it in place, or even just molded some clips on there or something other than what they did. I am looking forward to seeing that lit up, though. This is their first time using light panels like that. My other big complaint, the stairs. What the heck, guys? The stairs go up and then they just kind of stop. There is a hole there, but it's so small that you can't put a figure through. The stairs in particular really irks me. We have this little gate blocker thing, and then we've got a little door into the stand from here. Around the back, there's not a ton to see here. This is where we'll access some of the other levels later. You can kind of pop this off. It's not really supposed to, or maybe it is, I'm not sure. It's a little bit difficult to pop on and off, I'll say that much. And then around this side, we get some extra studs here. That is for attaching the battery pack there. I don't know what that one's for, but that's where you put the battery pack. It doesn't really look too out of place. And then we've got the main plug-in point, and that's where you're going to control all the lights for this whole thing. Then there's another contact point, which makes me think that they're going to be making more sets that you can just kind of attach on either side, which honestly is going to be pretty cool if they do that. And then around this side, we get to see a little knob here, a robot dog. That little knob is for the garage door. You can crank that to get that open, which is pretty nice. And then once we circle back around, again, you can see the vending machine. It's got like a bit of an error on the front. It's full of printed pieces, which is great. However, it's only attached by a couple of pieces, so it kind of pops off easily, or I should say a couple of studs, because it's being pulled on by this tube up above. So that's a little annoying if you're trying to move this thing around. And then, it's really hard to see right now, but there is an interior of that shop, and I'll try to get it closer. And basically, it's just a motorcycle shop, nothing crazy. But then if you rotate, suddenly it's a secret body modding shop. It's a little dark, but interesting, fits the cyberpunk theme, I guess. So layer 1, a lot going on, plenty of things to do. This little road, by the way, does not fit the police car. This is very much a motorcycle road, so you cannot park the police car in there. I initially thought that maybe it could, but no, it's much too small. Layer 2 is kind of where the actual apartment stuff starts, so we got more of those stairs, and oh, why is there a gap there? That's so annoying. But we got a walkway that goes all along here. There's the entrance into one of the apartments. There's a little sliding door, which is pretty cool. That goes up and around. We have this big walkway here. That's pretty awesome. All covered up by this neon blue. And that just kind of comes around here. I guess it's just kind of a lookout area. And then if we go around to the back here, this hinges open and we get to see part of what's inside there. There's a bed with these weird tubes and stuff. And there's a whole little bathroom in there. Again, really hard to see in there when the lights aren't on. But it's pretty easy to get to it once we remove some layers. But yeah, overall, this middle layer, it's great. Good use of parts. I really, really like the door. The door is probably the coolest part to me. The fact that it's just a little slidey door feels very futuristic. And then the final level has another apartment on it. There is this very red tree that I believe is artificial because in the lore for this set, over here, this little green tube thing is the only real tree left in the city. There's also some robotic display parts or something. And then you've got a little door that can open up there. Not cool and slidey, but it is still a door. Also, there's a little blue pad next to all the doors. I believe that's supposed to be like a key card swipe or something. The windows look absolutely fantastic. Great building techniques all around. And then, like the other layer, you can go over here and pop open that and see the whole apartment. It's a rather tall apartment. There's a little workbench and there is a bed. There's a little tiny ladder to get up to reach the bed. And then on the very, very top, we have some detail work like the little radars. I don't really know why there's radars up there, but there is. There's plenty of vent work and whatnot. And then there's this very suspicious tower covered in wires and whatnot that I believe goes into the hacker's apartment. Again, all of the figures have like backstories and stuff. I don't bother building them because they're just so bad. Here it is next to a Lego modular building. Size is pretty comparable. This has way more of a shelf presence overall, just because of its wacky architecture. And also, it has more height because of the tower. So you can see pops up a good bit above. So size-wise, I feel like you get a pretty good amount for your money. Now, I'm going to just show you how to disassemble this. So that's all the layers that really can come off. I realized that this middle layer really is not supposed to detach. It creates quite a mess trying to detach that. And then as you saw for this, one of the contact points came off. You can see here on the bottom, you can see that little bit of metal. That's where that is. You may have to re-reference the instructions if it pops off while you're dismantling it. Yeah, there's not much they could have done about that. It just happens, and I think it's pretty clever that you don't have wires running from one level to another. So I'm not too miffed about that happening. Top layer comes off super easy, no problems with that. And then when you're done, it looks like this. This thing does take up a lot of space, so be aware. It's actually quite hard getting shots of it in the studio. Also, just wanted to note, in case you didn't notice, you do have to hinge this out of the way when you're taking that middle layer off, or sorry, the top layer off. So let's go ahead and install the battery unit. So we have this, it comes with a screw, it's beefier than the past ones we've seen. And then we have our cord. So this is a standard USB-C to USB-A. The USB-A goes on the battery box itself. It would help if I actually plugged it in the right way. Then we can install it. Can I get it on the studs? Hello? Oh, I see there. Okay, yeah, you're supposed to get a corner on here and a corner on there. And then this just loops around. I feel like this is awfully long, but there we go. And pop, I guess, that on, and then we have a secondary switch here, which is a bit hard to reach. You know what? Probably would be best if you just switch that one to on, and then you can control it from that switch. So let's cut the lights in here and get a look at this thing all lit up. Oh, ho, ho, look at that. Oh, yo, the sign down there is flashing. Dude, this is cool. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Up here. Oh, look at that. It pulses. That's crazy. You get to see the panel there, the Oasis Apartments, the Neon Eats. Look at the light piping. Oh, my word. Wow. Wow. This is crazy. Look at that. The vending machine is all lit up. The garage area's got some lights. The apartment up at the very top has some lights as well. Oh, the light piping looks sick. These panels, though, these panels are brilliant. This is really, really, really good. Like, I am actually impressed by that. That looks perfect. It actually looks perfect. Okay, so now we need to look at the police car. So we just pop off the back, and there's a little switch down in the midst of all this. Oh, yeah. Look at that. So the side panels light up. Look at those headlights. Oh, that's so cool. That's actually so cool. And then we have the flashing lights up at the top, which is awesome. Those just kind of go on a prearranged pattern. And then we have tail lights as well. This side paneling, though, that's probably what most impressed me with this thing. But yeah, look at that. Oh, it's so cool. The fact that it's completely self-contained too, and you don't have to plug it into anything. Perfect. Actually perfect. Well, there you have it. That is the Funwhole Neon City sets. Now, I believe they are planning to make more in this line. This is just the first two that they've done. And I am once again impressed because they have made an absolute masterpiece here. I'm probably going to be using this as like a Neo Mombasa mock kind of thing, because I mean, you guys saw how well the Mega figures fit here. It's just awesome. The animated lights, I mean, it just adds so much life to it. Like I said, had a few qualms with it. There was part of the tree didn't want to go together, and like the parts just, I think different parts should have been used. You can see there's a little bit of a stress mark where I tried to put it on to where it felt like it would stick. But aside from that and the stairs really bugged me. I wish they had done something different there. Heck, ladders would have been fine. Other than that, this is great. The sign attachments also could have been done better. Price-wise, let's talk price. So the big one is 170 bucks. Honestly, feels pretty great. That's a good price, I would say. For the amount of parts you get, for the amount of lights you get on this thing, feels great. If there were actual good figures with this set, that would feel even better. With the way it is, you kind of have to have your own figures if you want to populate this thing. And then the police car is 40 bucks. That feels a little steep to me. Standard Lego Speed Champions are 20 bucks, sometimes 25 on the steep end. The police car is pretty much the same. Yeah, it's got the lights, and the lights do have the sequencing to it, so I feel like 30 or 35 would have been the good price point. Again, especially since the figures are bleh. That being said, these are absolutely fantastic, and if you want something on your shelf that stands out and really just adds some life, this is something you need to check out. I will put links in the description and in the pinned comment. Really, go check them out. Funwhole is doing some awesome stuff, and I am really looking forward to what they come out with next. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.